Hey, it's me, C, and welcome back to my channel. Ciao. Ooh. So, I literally just finished watching 2 hours of Love and Hip Hop New York. This is the 10-year or 10 season anniversary. The OGs are back. We got Chrissy, Tahiri. I seen in the little trailer Olivia might be popping in, but I don't really care about her. But yeah, so like there's so much to get into and unpacked in episode one. So bear with me. It was 2 hours long, like I said. Part one, part two, but I told you guys that I was going to start doing my Love and Hip Hop weekly recaps because why not? I literally watch Love and Hip Hop faithfully every week since season one. So ask me something about Love and Hip Hop. I'm pretty sure I can answer it for you. Trust me, I know. Literally, I've been so excited about this season of Love and Hip Hop that I went back, and I think I told you guys this, but I'm gonna tell you again. I went back and I watched season 1, 2, and 3 of Love and Hip Hop New York because I needed to make sure I was, abreast and I knew what was going on come Monday, December 16th, baby. So I don't even know where to start. Like, the show itself started off with OG Chrissy Lampkin, okay? And it's basically just reintroducing her back to the New York scene because, sis went back to Miami to live her life about like 4 or 5 years ago, something like that. Her and Jim still are together, but I guess they just decided to not, live together full time. I don't know. They haven't really gotten to that tea yet. But once they get into it, trust me, we'll talk about it. So the very first scene of the show is Chrissy going to the house, popping up in on Jim, and it was just so weird and nostalgic because I'm like, wow, this is still the same house. It looks exactly the same. Like, I don't know. It was just so weird. Like, whatever. But she goes to the house and she's talking to Jim and she's basically telling him, like, I want to kind of mend some wrongs, close some of those negative doors. I'm a new woman. I'm growing. I'm doing this and that. And I want to reach back out to Kimbella, especially because, the whole Dipset crew, they're back together, touring, doing music or whatever. So Kimbella is no longer just Joel Santana's like girlfriend. That is his wife, the mother of his kids, like, So I guess Chrissy felt like, okay, it's time for us to meet up and kind of patch a few things up. Now, just in case you don't know and you're not an OG fan, Kimbella came onto the scene in season 2 of Love and Hip Hop New York. Um, you know, she came on and no one really liked her because of the way she portrayed herself. I'm just gonna outright and say it. Back then, she used to portray herself as like super duper fake video vixen, slutty, whatever you want to call it. She just wasn't. I don't know. She was no Melissa Ford. Okay, we stand Melissa Ford, but Kimbella, she was just more so like, where'd you find her, like sort of thing. And she came across as more so of a lady who kind of, had a baby by a rapper and became a socialite. That's what she came off as. And essentially, I don't know what else she's done, but that's neither here nor there. And the reason why Chrissy and the other girls weren't feeling her is because she outright came out and said to Emily B. Emily B is one of the original castmates of Love and Hip Hop. She is now the wife of the rapper Fabulous, and they have been together for, oh God, like, I don't know, over 15 years or something like that, something crazy. So, yeah, like their love relationship played out all throughout the first 2 seasons. He wasn't on the show, but she was on there being very vulnerable, being very, very real. And it was just crazy. But anyway, during a meetup, Kimbella pretty much goes in front of the group of the women and says, hey, I'm happy you're moving on and growing from your relationship with Fab. I just wanted to let you know, as a woman, first of all, why are you coming to her woman to woman, but it's really woman to woman in front of a group of friends? But whatever, that was in the past. She basically was like, I wanted to come to you as a woman and let you know that 3 years ago, Fab and I were dating. Now, everyone in the room was just kind of like, dating or sleeping with? Like, mm, y'all was not dating, y'all was messing, but whatever. The point is, at that time, Emily and Fab were together for a lot of years. Um, when she told her her son was just turning 3 years old, which means that, excuse me, I was pregnant when you was messing with my man. So that was just a whole nother drama. Chrissy and Emily, really good friends. So, Emily back then wasn't very vocal. So Chrissy felt some sort of way and gave her the old boom boom 1 2. You feel me? And that was pretty much the backstory as to why they hated each other. Got it? Cool. But anyway, let's bring it back to current day. Chrissy felt bad about her actions 10 years ago or however long ago that was. And she wanted to meet up with Kimbella, so they had lunch, very cute or whatever. Chrissy did apologize. She just basically said, hey, I'm not here to disrespect you and I'm not here to get disrespected. Okay. But I do want to apologize for what happened because, things went a little left. So whatever. Kimbella was very receptive to the apology, and the two decided to move on and build some type of friendship, or whatever the case may be. And I honestly, truly think that Kimbella really wanted that from Chrissy in the beginning of, I guess, the meeting. So, but during the lunch, Kimbella brings up Yandy, and she was like, have you seen Mrs. Smith? And Yandy was Jim Jones's manager for a very long time, but after some things transpired between her and Jim and Chrissy, essentially she was fired, and it was just a whole mess. In my opinion, I honestly felt like this back then, and I feel like it now, especially because I'm older and I understand how, typically relationships work and the boundaries between business and personal. And I feel like Yandy definitely overstepped many boundaries. Like, even though she was friends with Jim and his manager, I feel like the boundaries that she stepped over, leaped over, jumped over, I would have been upset and had something to say too. Like, are you his manager or what? Because last time I checked, that was my man. So I don't know. It was just a lot of hoopla going on. And y'all can go back and watch season 1 and 2 because I can't dig too deep into the old drama. I just have to, come up and explain a couple things so you can understand the circle of love, if you want to call it, or hate. But anyway, so Cambella brings up Yandy. It was like, have you talked to her? Chrissy was like, girl, no, I haven't talked to her in years, but there are things that I would like to hash out. So, I'm pop up on that ass, like, pretty much. All right, so moving on to Yandy. Yandy's storyline, I don't really know what her storyline is going to be this year. I just feel like this season, her storyline is just going to be about her beefing with Chrissy and Kimbella because she doesn't want to admit to her wrongdoings in the past. Like, I do feel like Yandy, there's a lot of things that have happened, and she tries to paint this picture as if she never does anything wrong and that she's an angel. Now, like I said, I don't know these people in real life. I watch them on TV just like y'all do. But from watching, like I said, over these years, Yandy can never just own up to when she's wrong. And she comes off very fake sometimes. Like, a lot of times, things that she does, it's like, okay, what is the motive? You know what I mean? Like, are you doing this because this is how you feel, or is there a motive? So that's going to be a lot of Yandy's storyline this year. I mean, ain't nothing really special about that so far. All right, we will revisit Yandy at a later date. Let's move on. Joe Budden and Sin Santana. Okay, so this love square is it's a lot going on. So Sin Santana was introduced to us because she was Erica Mena's girlfriend at the time. Joe Budden is a rapper, now podcaster. He has all these different things going on. Um, and he had a couple of girlfriends on the show. He had Tahiri, which him and Tahiri were together for so long. Like, I remember being in middle school watching them on YouTube long. Like, yeah. Then he had a young girl named Kaylin. She fizzled out and I don't know what she's doing, to be honest with you now. She's just not on TV, which is fine. So they bring Tahiri back. We love Tahiri. We like Sin too, but it's just something about Joe and Tahiri's toxic relationship that we just all love. Like, what can we say? So, Joe proposed to Sin, and literally 4 months later, they broke up, and nobody knew why. Like, it was just painted like I came home and she was gone. Her stuff was gone. She was gone. And she never really said much about it. She just always was like, yeah, I left. And that was pretty much it. But now that the storyline is here for us to watch, she's accusing him of cheating. Now, this whole episode was very annoying to me because she just kept going on and on about how he cheated, but she didn't say what happened. Like, she just said, like, oh, I went through his phone and I seen he cheated. Okay, well, sis, when you went through the phone, what did you see? What in there did you see to make you feel like he was cheating? Like, the proof is in the pudding, so give us the pudding. Give us the proof. Like, I don't understand. What happened? You're not saying anything. Like, okay. So Joe's side, he's like, I didn't cheat on you. But he did act inappropriately or do something that a man in a relationship shouldn't be doing. So, in my opinion, I feel like when she went through that phone, she found some conversations or things like being entertained that shouldn't have been. Now, everybody's idea of cheating in a relationship is different. It could vary. Like, what I might think is cheating, you might not think is cheating, which is fine. But acting inappropriately or having inappropriate conversations definitely will lead up to the kaboom, the cheating, if you will. You know what I mean? So what exactly she saw and what happened, we don't know. Who knows if we'll ever know. But yeah, I mean, their relationship from the beginning, in my opinion, was always a disaster waiting to happen. A beautiful disaster with a beautiful baby on the outcome of it all. But yeah, so I'm interested to see how that whole thing pans out. And if we ever find out what he did, like, what exactly did you do, Joe? All right, now moving on to Sin's ex-girlfriend, Erica. Erica and Safari are now married and have a beautiful baby girl on the way. So in the show, of course, they're just kind of talking about, like different things like planning the wedding and the baby coming and announcing the pregnancy, like those things, whatever. Their storyline isn't really anything during this first half, but we'll get to it in the second half. Although nobody actually has a problem with Erica and Safari being together, it still is taking some time for people, I guess, to get used to. For me, I don't mind the relationship. It is what it is. When they were on Scared Famous, I knew they had something going on, even though Erica was trying to play hard to get. But Safari himself, he seems like a good guy, but he's just so cringy sometimes. Like, sometimes when I watch him, I'm just like, mm. All right. But one thing he can say about Safari is that he's always himself. Safari is Safari. Now, at the middle mark of the episode, we see Kimbella and Chrissy go to Remy and Papoose' party together. They're trying to build their little sisterhood or friendship, whatever they're doing. And of course, Chrissy, in really Chrissy fashion, she goes to approach Yandy Smith. Chrissy was just like, hey, let's address the elephant in the room, like whatever the case may be. She was trying to have a conversation and speak her piece, but Yandy just was not trying to see anyone's side of it all. And the thing that irks me the most, and what has always irked me the most about Yandy, is like she has this way of downplaying situations and what she's done to make it seem like, I don't know, the way she tells her side of the story is like, did you not remember there's like literally footage of everything that is you're talking about? Like, we know what happened. Like, you can't erase it from our memory. Like, you're saying the conversation went this way and it actually didn't go that way at all. Yandy kept saying like, oh, Chrissy become like bothered once Yandy started to glow up and get a lot more airtime and all these things. And I'm like, that's not what I remember. What I remember is you being Jim Jones's manager. You joined the show because, you know, you guys were all friends, but you overstepped a lot of boundaries. Like telling Jim Jones that he doesn't need to spend, why is he spending money on bags and shoes for Chrissy and all this stuff? Like, I understand from a manager's perspective if you feel like your client is spending too much money, but for you to specifically say you're buying your girl too many this and too many that, sounds a little weird. Not to mention how, and she just was saying a lot of, you know, disrespectful things back in the day that I can understand why Chrissy felt the way that she felt. And so for Yandy to not really understand that or act like we don't remember, it's just kind of like weird to me. And her also like coming in between Chrissy and Mama Jones's relationship, like you already know that some mother-in-law and daughter-in-law relationships aren't like an easy mesh and aren't like going well. So why involve yourself and make it even worse? Like, I don't know. That was bothersome. All I know is when Kimbella and Chrissy walked into that party together, Yandy's heart dropped right into her ass. Like, that's what I do know. So that wrapped up part one. So let's go back to part two. It wasn't as action packed, but that's pretty much understandable because in the first half, it was kind of just like reintroducing everyone to us and catching us up on like where their storyline is right now. So a few of them met up and went to lunch. It was Yandy, Jonathan, Sin, and Kimbella. At the lunch, Kimbella, you know, she wasn't really expecting Yandy to be there, but it was kind of like, I'm not going to be upset and act like an ass. Like, you know, hey, whatever. She was keeping it cordial. I was so happy she did not have that synthetic wig on anymore because I just don't understand. Like, if you wear synthetic wigs, that's fine, but like, you're on national television. At least make it lay right. Like, it was just whatever. This ain't about that. So that lunch, whatever, whatever. And then, you know, drops a little gem like, oh yeah, you know, I seen in the blog that something was going on with Chrissy and Jim's house. And Yandy, being messy, pulled out her phone and was like, oh yeah, it looks like their house going into foreclosure. Oh, and it looks like it was around the time when I stopped managing him. And just like making it into this whole thing, which yes, it was a thing on the vlogs, but it was kind of like, why are you inserting yourself? Like, clearly you're still mad, but you don't want to really address the situation, which is still confusing to me because you sat here and made it seem like you did nothing or nothing really happened and that Chrissy is just delusional. So why are you bothered then? Whatever. And, you know, so Yandy starts to say some things and it sets Kimbella off because Kimbella's like, bro, like, why are you being messy and discussing their situation? Like, if you don't mess with somebody so much, why are you so pressed to talk about them? Like, and Yandy was like, okay, well, I guess Chrissy's her good sis now, so now whatever the case may be. And Kimbella's just like, no, you're mad fake. Like, I'm not sitting here doing this with you. And, you know, she ended up leaving because it was kind of like, why am I sitting here listening to you go on and on and on about this situation and you don't really want to address the issues? And I feel like you're fake and I feel like this and I feel like that. So Kimbella left. And I don't blame her, to be honest. Like, I'm not saying I'm the biggest fan of Kimbella, but like, at least she shows some sort of realness. You know what I mean? Like, if you feel a way about something, speak up. Don't just kiki about it because the cameras are rolling. Like, if you're genuinely trying to build a friendship with somebody, then I mean, I feel like I would have did the same thing. Like, we have issues that we need to get to between us, but you want to sit here and talk about the next female, like whatever. So back to the whole house situation with Jimmy and Chrissy. So the house is going into foreclosure. They've had this house for like 13 or however many years. Like I told you guys earlier, Chrissy had moved back to Miami. So she hasn't really been living in the house in like 4 or 5 years, to be honest with you. So, the mortgage was in Jimmy's name. Chrissy's name was on the deed, but she didn't pay the mortgage every month. She didn't live there. That was his house, and whatever the case may be. So the house going into foreclosure was because he had some bad business dealings with a business manager or an agent or whatever. And I guess they said they were paying the bills. They didn't pay the bills, whatever. But the reason why that's problematic for Chrissy is because our sis is, she has a real estate business. And how can you be in real estate when your own home is going into foreclosure? You know what I mean? That's just like a bad look for her. So her being upset at Jimmy, like, I completely understand that. Like, bro, like, you got us out here in these streets looking crazy. Like, for what? Like, are you dumb? Are you dumb? You got me out here looking crazy in front of my real estate friends. Like, so who gonna want to do business with me? Fix it. Like, just fix it. The last major thing that happened in this episode was Erica and Safari going to see a lawyer. Now, based on the episode, Safari was under the impression that they were going to see a lawyer because, they're getting married and they're trying to buy this dream house for them and their kid and all these different things. So he thought they were going to talk about just like finances and things like that. Great. That's what happens a lot of times when you're about to get married. You talk finances, you see a counselor, you see this, you see that, whatever. Things like that happen, especially when you're trying to buy a house and have businesses. Like, great. He gets there, and our sis Erica, she brings up a prenup. Now, there's nothing wrong with having a prenup. That's fine. But you don't wait until you get in front of the lawyer to say, hey, babe, I want a prenup. And then you sit there and ask the lawyer to draw up some papers for you. Like, Miss Ma'am, we just rode in this car together, like, to this lawyer. I never met this lawyer before. You could have told me that you wanted a prenup. Like, you know what I mean? Safari's pretty much like a prenup never crossed my mind. So why am I just not hearing this in front of this strange man that I don't freaking know? Like, I'm just so confused. And then so basically she tells him, like, oh, if you cheat on me, then I want to divorce you and take everything you have. And he was just kind of like, okay, like, no, like, I'm so confused. Like, where is this coming from? This, that, and the third. And, in the little green screen thing, they were basically asking Safari, like, what happened with Gabby from Love and Hip Hop Miami, because allegedly Safari had some dealings with her. And he was just like, no, I didn't. Now, time will tell if that's true or not. We'll see. But I mean, they ended up getting married, so maybe it wasn't true. Maybe they worked past it. I don't know. But the bottom line is, you don't go to your lawyer or a lawyer that is supposed to be for both of you guys, whatever the case may be, and be like, oh, I want a prenup, and you didn't talk to your partner about it. Like, who does that? That's mad weird. So I would have been upset too. Like, clearly there's a deeper, darker problem going on, and you want to talk about it, but you aren't mature enough to kind of address the situation. So you just did this. Like, it was just a bunch of buffoonery, and I would have been upset too. Like, there's nothing wrong with having a prenup. If that's what works for you, that's fine. But I just, there's certain forms of communication that has to happen. Like, you don't think I should have been privy to this information before coming to meet this stupid ass lawyer? Like, okay. But that is the end of my Love and Hip Hop New York season 10 recap. Child, this season is about to be crazy. So I hope you're watching along with me and just sipping your tea, drinking your water, whatever you do. I don't know. But this season is already off to a good start because the tea is hot. Some of the tea is a little, it ain't hot, it's a little lukewarm, but I feel like it's gonna boil up to be hot. You know what I'm saying? So thank you guys for tuning in. Make sure you comment down below and let me know what you think about whatever storyline we talked about today, and whatever, couples or drama or whatever. Let me know your thoughts. I want to hear. I want to chat. We will be doing this every week. So make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Turn that notification bell on, because clearly now I'm posting twice a week, sis. It went from once a week to twice a week. So it's going to be fun. It's going to be a nice little journey. And yeah, thanks for tuning in. I'll see you in the next video.